Yeah, the gang's all here. A little backstory. We were on, actually, this deserves a little bit more than a backstory because there's some people that are viewing this, guys, that don't understand what we do every week. So the backstory is on one of our weekly calls as a high six group, which happens to be all coaches, Steve, which he can explain why in a minute, got on a bit of a rant. It was just us and maybe one or two other people on the call about sort of being all in. Meaning in our world, in the Wichita community, being all in the community, being all in on the items you know you're supposed to do, being all in on doing what you say you'll do. And so I just nonchalantly said, all right, let's do a video about that because it makes a great motivational Monday. And I also want to make sure that everybody understands part of being all in is a cool event we got coming up. So I don't know, Steve, that day, if you could, 2 weeks ago when we were on the call together, something pissed you off and you went on a rant. So maybe bring us there, and then I want to get these guys' opinion on this being all in too.
Yeah. I was just kind of referring to what we've kind of seen as pillars of success in this community as kind of like a pattern is being fully immersed. And what I was kind of going on about is what my version of fully immersed is for especially the people on this call here. And that was, we show up to every single call. Not only do we show up to the calls, we show up prepared. We show up with our cameras on, ready to ask questions, ready to engage. It's the same thing with masterminds on Thursday. We don't miss masterminds on Thursday. We don't sit there and suffer in silence and have questions and don't ask them. We engage. Same thing with events. I remember back when, what was it, 2018 and 19, my life was absolute chaos. Like the majority of the people in the community, right? They're balancing a business. Some people are parenting, relationship, full-time job. It's a lot, right? But when you're dialed in and you're fully immersed, you figure out ways to make your schedule work. And just like everyone on this call, if there was an event, I knew real early, way before that, I had it was like 3 weeks vacation at the time. And I had at the very beginning of the year already had my QLS and my Wicked Smart Summit or a Kickstarter Summit. Those are all a part of things I knew I was not going to miss. And I allocated my vacation time to making sure I didn't miss any of these events or miss any chances for me to be able to progress my business and my personal growth, right? And I think it's so important. If you're looking to take control of your life, you're looking to change the direction in which it's going and basically be a business owner sooner than later, what do you have to do? You have to get a real sense of priorities and understand that this is going to take sacrifice. There's no other way to look at it. And it's going to be for the better, of course. But when you're building a business, you have to do everything you possibly can, right? To take in as much information as possible, surround yourself with the right people, and make sure any opportunity that's out there, you don't miss it. Because the smallest, tiniest things could be the difference between you, like your trajectory completely taking off. And if you're in and out, right? You're just, I'm on the Thursday mastermind call, but my camera's off, or I'm on the Thursday mastermind call, but I'm working my W-2. You have so much that you could potentially miss. So it's about.
So Steve, I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things based on what you just said. So I'm just gonna touch on a few. Maybe I'll spark Russ and Mike and Brian, and then we'll get some opinions going here. But a couple of things came to mind. You said the word sacrifice, and you insinuated that a couple different ways. And I know this is an older story, and Russ probably has better sports stories. But I remember when I was like painfully prospecting. This is when I was a realtor before I was just doing investing. I would write the word repetitious boredom down over and over and over in between phone calls because I needed something to do because I was doing so many freaking calls. And that came from Michael Jordan, repetitious boredom. And I promise you, he and every other great success doesn't like doing that. It sucks. It's sacrifice. But the repetitious boredom and doing all the things that people aren't willing to do, the uncommon things, as Stephen Weston just said to me and Russ yesterday, is what counts. So I wrote down that, but I also wrote down, this is not about, as Steve was going through that, this is not about getting to know how to do a deal. Like all these guys for the viewers to know, all these guys know how to do a freaking deal. In fact, they've all done a lot of deals. The point is, this is about a lifestyle. And when you were talking, I'm looking at the screen here. All you guys went full time, which means all you guys sacrificed and burn the candle on both ends to get full-time. You didn't worry about what I talked about last event, the tyranny of how, like, oh, geez, what about this? What about it? You just said, I'm going for it. And that was the case here with everyone. And you, one more thing you said, and then I think I'm going to turn it over to you guys. You said really quick about surrounding yourself. I got to mention the event right now then, and then you guys can talk about it in whatever shape, form, or fashion you want. But we've been cooped up. Let me say it that way, that we couldn't get live. The last ballroom was 2019. The only person that wasn't there is Brian, I think, because right after that is when he joined us. And we were live, and things are different when you're live. As much as I loved coming to the studio and being able to do virtual events, I'm spent with it. I'm done with it. And so being live in QLS 2022 is going to be a game changer. The content, the speakers, and all that is great. But what Steve just said is more important. The conversations that you might have with Steve or Mike or Russ or Brian or anyone else, frankly, it could be a brand new student that gives you some aha. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars worth of value there. For what? A couple $100 freaking ticket? It's just ridiculously stupid to even hear that in one sentence. So you got to get to the event. Go to qlslive.com. That's just a side note, Steve, based on what you said. Who has a thought? Brian, do you have a thought based on so far? And we're just tracking as the conversation goes here. What are your thoughts so far? What comes to
Yeah,
mind?
I mean, I echo what you said about being in person. And, last year I had the opportunity to be in person because some of us were there, and it was different from the previous two that I was at virtually because, I got to know you. I was the first time I met you, first time I saw Steve in person and Russ, and we really got to develop additional rapport and get to know each other on a deeper level. So that was super helpful. You definitely have to come. I mean, I'm going for sure. Wouldn't miss it. The note that I wrote down while Steve was talking, and I never want to single anybody out, but I see this even within our community, but I see it in other areas as well. You're making the decision to invest in yourself, whether it's $5,000, whether it's $200, $5,000, or $100,000, whatever it is. Why wouldn't you not be 100% all in? I mean, 100% all in. And if you can't, you really need to have a gut check. You really need to look inside yourself and figure out what's wrong. Because if you're not showing up to everything, in my opinion, you're just chock full of excuses. So I'll give you a good example. Last week, I was on vacation in Orlando with my family, and I went to the airport where I spent most of my life. And I looked at I was in the United Club, and I looked at the tables where I used to make calls while I was waiting for planes. So I could have been watching Netflix. I could have been, doing something else, but I chose to call sellers. You'll hear Mike talk about how he used to call sellers on his drive to and from work. Rusty would call sellers on his lunch hour. So there really are no excuses for time. And I hear that quite a bit. I don't have enough time. I can't make the mastermind. You just have to have a gut check. Those are really my thoughts.
Well, here I wrote down a couple things while you were talking. So you still sound like you're slightly sick. Brian's on this call. Could have easily said, hey, guys, I don't feel good because he got diagnosed or a positive test for COVID.
Yep.
Easily could have said, I'm all set. And we could have pulled the call off, but it's better to have him, and he's willing to do that. So first of all, thank you. Second of all, I want to ask you guys all this. You said at the very beginning about being all in. I don't know. I guess one thing I wrote down is the word trying. Maybe some people don't get all in because they're just trying it. Like, I'll just try this. It's like the shiny object thing. They keep trying. They go in circles. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have a comment on that, but that came to mind when you were saying you just don't understand why they wouldn't. Well, I think my opinion is because some of them are just dipping their left toe in and they're not all in to Steve's to the point of us being on this roundtable. So I don't know if Russ or Mike have a comment on that or something else we just said.
Yeah, I feel like the point that Brian made is that you're investing in yourself. Like, I think that's the biggest key here. You can never go wrong with investing in yourself because you're going to gain knowledge that you're never going to lose, right? You're going to keep with you forever. And you're only doing a disservice to yourself by not taking advantage of all the things that the community is providing for you. All the masterminds, all the group calls, the one-on-ones, all the products that come with your package and things like that. Make sure you go through all that, because every bit and piece that's in there is very important, and it's going to make you that much better, that much more of an expert in your area, in this industry, in our terms business. And we're all here as a community to help you get through that, and not taking advantage of it. Really, you're hurting yourself. I don't know if Russell has another point to make off of that.
Well, let me say this, Mike. Brian alluded to you earlier. I think it was Brian.
Yeah.
I remember because it was I flew to you when you first started, because you said, "Can you come out now? Because I have to be in my job. Like when the summer hits, I'm full bore." So you were doing 12-hour days. You were making phone calls on the way in the car while your brother drove. I mean, because you weren't dipping your toe in, your plan from day one was, "Hey, Chris, I need to do this in 24 months ish. I want to be full time." And we pulled that off like in 27 or whatever it was. So I just wanted them to hear that backstory. We all know each other, so we tend to just start going in here. But there's a backstory.
And I made it out there too, Chris. I made it out to the events as well, the live events. I mean, not only to my private office visit, right? Not only that, but I made it to the events, even though I had a W-2, because I knew I had to. I invested in this. I'm investing in myself, and I want to just be immersed in everything possible to be around what this looks like. That way, I can make a carbon copy of the same thing in my own area, right? I wanted to do the exact same thing and be successful. So I knew that's what it was going to take, and nothing was going to stop me.
Yeah. So let me put context and money to this, and then Russ can comment. And that is, we're talking like this because we know the end result, but all the sacrifice that Steve referred to now, we're all hitting, is why. It's, again, not just for the deal, but let me put money to it, and then we'll talk about the bigger picture. When you talk about deals ranging from 45 grand to 250 grand, all 3 paydays, that's significant. That doesn't come because you go, "Oh, I know how to do a deal now, and this is easy." It's not easy. Every single person on here has had challenges with deals and individual life events that happen to our buyers and sellers, but the upside's enormous. And that's why we're talking like we are right now and creating the lifestyle. Brian went to Florida because he's created a lifestyle that allows him to go to Florida. Mike, I think every week I get a message saying, "Yeah, we're going away this weekend." I think it's great because he can do that now. It's the coolest thing at his age, and with a young family, it's the coolest thing. So the event Mike's talking about, and we're all talking about, is, of course, the QLS Live event. Go to QLS Live, QLSlive.com. We'll constantly update information, and you'll see more and more speakers coming on there. But guess what? For the viewer to know, it doesn't do it justice, because you being all in, like buying your ticket to the event, getting your plane booked, or if you're driving or you're taking a train, and then coming to the event with, "Hey, these are the 3 things I want to get out of the event," and then grabbing Mike or grabbing Russ on the sideline at 8:30 before the event starts. That's being all in. And everybody can go through the speakers. That's cool. But you're going to get more value out of being all in. Russ, any thoughts? Because you have the luxury of listening to us rant. Now you can add whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off on some of those subjects. QOS, when I went to QOS, I met Mike, and he was my coach at the time. I upgraded to immersion at the event. You whispered in my ear, "Hey," because I told you I was going to be a coach. I was a coach in high school, and you whispered in my ear, "Hey, that might be something that we want you to do in the future." When you mentioned that to me, and when I was speaking with Mike, I was committed. I was like, "Okay, this is what I want to do." So I had 13 years left in my teaching life, and I said, "Nope, this is what I want to do," because of the community and what I saw. And you see everybody on the screen. We were all full time. We were at W-2s at the time. I was sending people on mile runs when I was teaching PE to make phone calls. Steve was, in his car, hiding away from his boss to make phone calls. Like Brian said, he's in the airport making calls. Mike was, driving, making calls. We were committed. And you can see everybody on the screen because of our commitment and because of the community, like you said, we're here and we've broken free, right, Brian? We've broken free from our W-2.
That's right.
It's awesome and I didn't think of that before we all got on. You guys all did that. Brian, I just repeated your story this morning. Ryan on our team, Ryan, not Brian, and I were filming, and I used your story because to go full time, create, I think the old number was a little over 800 grand in 3 paydays. In how many months did you do that?
I was 17.
That counted when you weren't full time, right?
Yeah, I worked full time for about 9 months, you know,
Yeah,
alongside of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. What are we missing, guys? Let me ask you this. What can we tell the viewers who are not in our community? Because if they're in the community, you guys all nailed, hey, if you're in the community, you need to freaking show up to everything, right? And that's a given. Well, why the hell would you do it? But now let's do this real briefly. Let's talk to the viewer. They don't know us. They don't know you until they come to the live event, right? And they'd be crazy not to come meet you. What should they know in just a short sentence or 3 or 4 about the live event compared to the virtual when you're sitting in a room by yourself? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just real quick. I see Brian, me and him are always on the same frequency, so I'm going to cut you off because I can speak faster. But well, first thing is you want to dabble and learn how to play checkers. Go ahead. Don't dabble in your future. That's nuts. If you're going to do something, you do it. You deserve it. Your family deserve it. You gotta get out there and do what is required. I have the wristband on right here, Chris. QLS is like 19. Do what's required.
Awesome.
When it comes to the event, and I literally just came off of one of our associates had their office visit on Monday, and I could relate me hanging out with Morris for 8 hours like being at a live QLS event, because I've had Morris as a student, and then he's moved up. He's works with Chris, and I knew so much about the guy. But when I met him in person, and you start finding out about their kids, his past life, how it's led him here, how he can utilize his old skills to where he is now, and just really start to have such a deeper established relationship with people. Those are the things that you can only get in person. And then when you develop these relationships just from this event, they become your accountability partners. They become people you can rely on, bounce deals off each other. These kind of small relationships outside of the actual content itself, which is incredibly valuable. Those are the things that we don't necessarily think about how important it is. So just make sure you're at the event, because it's such a difference between being virtual.
Yeah, I didn't know Brian 3 years ago, and I think there was a stint, Brian, not too long ago, where I definitely talked to you more than I talked to Kim for about 6 months. So yeah, there's some cool relationships that were formed. Steve, it's worth saying what happened at the office visit. So for those of you that are brand new and you go, what the hell are they talking about office visits? Students can come in if they're associates, and they can visit us. And we also had to shut that down, and that sucked. We couldn't have students come in the office with COVID. Well, we just rekindled that and had our first redo since COVID. And Morris is the student that came in from New York, and Steve is part of our team now. So he hung out with him. And after, Steve said, that's why everyone needs to be at the event, and exactly why, because you're in person, it's different. Yeah. So what are you guys' final thoughts as we wrap this up?
To your point, Chris, Katie told me the other day that I feel like Chris lives here. So, I mean, it definitely happened. I was just going to say to the folks who are outside of the community and wanting to get in and thinking about coming to the event, you're probably in the wrong room. If you're outside of the community and you want in, you're in the wrong room. So you have to get in the right room, and this is the right room. So come to the event, get around people who are doing deals, who have up-leveled their lives. You'll hear some amazing stories. You'll meet some amazing people. And just come. There's really no excuses. This isn't, again, the ticket's a couple $100. Plane tickets aren't that terrible. I should know, because I bought thousands of plane tickets in my life. And, we got a pretty good room rate. So get to the event.
Russ and Mike, any last thoughts that we're not hitting? Because I want to make sure if it's there, we get it out.
Yeah, in addition to gaining all the knowledge and taking in all the information and the relationships that you're building at the event, when you leave the event, you're going to feel like this energetic, like confident feeling when you leave the event. So when you go back home, I mean, you're going to hit the ground running, and this is going to push you from September. It's going to push you for the next, 4 months strong, just because of what you experienced at the event. And that's happened every time that I went to a live event. I felt so good leaving, and I did so well when I got back home, and it's helped me and my business tremendously. It's just a great feeling.
Awesome. Coach Rusty, what you say here as we wrap up?
speaking of confidence, I was a teacher and a high school basketball coach. And I knew nothing about real estate or any terms or whatever that. So when I was at the event, the first day, I was in the back. I was like hands off. I really wasn't engaged. Just because I was nervous, right? There was all these investors, these real estate investors, and I'm just this peon teacher sitting in the back, not knowing what the heck is going on. But over the course of the event, I got to know people, Steve, and Mike, and I gained that confidence. And then during masterminds after that, I started participating. I started asking questions and started interjecting, where before I was just in the background, just listening, right? So like Mike said, that the confidence after an event, because of all the people you're going to be talking to and all the information you're going to gather, is going to propel you confidence wise. And then now you'll be able to participate in the masterminds. And then, like I got it taken, I think 3 months after the QOS, just because of what meeting Mike and then and having conversations with Mike over the phone about certain things. So it definitely, you need to be there. We just say you just need to be there.
Yeah, and these guys, at least I'll wrap up with these thoughts, you guys. These guys are all certified coaches. So if I said to you as the individual viewer right now watching this video, hey, you get to come and meet Mike, or hey, you get to come and meet Steve, and you didn't do anything else, you saw the speakers and you had a one-on-one conversation with one of these guys, that's invaluable. You will walk away with nuggets. In addition to all the warm and fuzzy stuff we just talked about, and the empowerment and the sacrifice and the stuff we'll give you, and then the speakers that you'll see on the website, qlslive.com, in addition to all that, you're going to get things like dispelling the nonsense that you hear the media yapping about now about this is not the right time. That should scream loudly to you that this is the best time to be in the terms business, because people need you more than ever. And you will in life get paid by how much value you can deliver. In our case, to buyers and sellers, right? By the hordes, buyers are getting pushed to the sidewalk right now, and we can help them. And you get paid very well to do that. In addition to that, on a technical level, we're going to show you how to get certified. And some of you even will decide to get accreditation from Creative Financing Real Estate Association. It doesn't exist anywhere else. You're going to learn about that. And you're going to learn how to navigate in this market, because I don't really care what the market does, and these guys don't. It's just a matter of how easy or how hard the deal is to get. It's not about getting deals. It's about knowing how to structure them. And through the certification with the Real Estate Association, Creative Finance, and through the event and through the contacts and through the coaching, that's going to be you. You're gonna leave there feeling I'm in control. I don't give a shit what the market does. I can work in this and be in control. That's pretty cool. So go to qlslive.com and come hang out with us. You'll be super glad you did. And I'm going to make a guarantee for you. Not only will I guarantee you that you'll consider time well spent, I've done this in the past. I'll tell you that if you can honestly come up to one of us and say, you know what, it wasn't a good use of my time. What you guys said, no, didn't happen for me. We'll refund you your ticket price, whatever you paid, and we'll reimburse your travel. So I don't know what on earth, besides these guys telling you, would stop you if I just gave you that guarantee. So with that, we will see you at qlslive.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.